I'm 79 years old and I'm sitting in a house that is far too quiet for a man who spent 40 years trying to fill it with things. It's funny, the things you notice when there's no one left to talk to. I notice the way the floorboards creak in the hallway. I notice the hum of the refrigerator. I notice that I haven't used the good plates in 3 years. I lost my marriage after 30 years of silence. Not the kind of silence where you aren't speaking, we spoke every day. We talked about the mortgage and the kids' grades and what was wrong with the car. We talked about the weather and what we should have for dinner on Sunday. But we didn't say anything, not for 3 decades. I think that's the hardest truth I've had to swallow since she walked out the door. You can live right next to someone, share a bed with them, eat 3 meals a day with them, and still be a complete stranger. You can be miles apart while your shoulders are touching. I'm telling you this because I don't have much time left to be anything but honest. When you get to my age, the polished version of your life, the one you tell people at parties or put in Christmas cards, it just falls away. It doesn't mean anything anymore. What's left is just the weight of what you did and what you didn't do. Mostly, it's the weight of what I didn't do. For a long time, I thought I was doing everything right. I was a provider. That was the word I used for myself. I went to work at 7:30 inches the morning, and I stayed late because that's what a good man did. I thought every hour of overtime was a deposit into the bank of our future. I remember coming home when the kids were small. I'd be exhausted. I'd sit in my chair and I'd want the house to be quiet. I felt like I had earned that quiet. Elena would try to tell me something. She'd start a story about her day or about something the neighbor said or about a dream she had. And I would nod. I'd say, "That's nice, honey," or "Is that right?" But I wasn't there. I was thinking about the project at the office. I was thinking about the lawn. I was thinking about myself. I thought, asterisk, later. We'll talk later. When the kids are out of the house. When we're retired. When things settle down. Asterisk. You tell yourself that later is a real place. You think it's a destination you're eventually going to arrive at, where all the things you've ignored will be waiting for you perfectly preserved. But later is a lie. It's a place that doesn't exist. By the time I reached the age where later was supposed to start, there was nothing left to talk about. The muscles we used to really see each other, to really hear each other, they had atrophied. They had shriveled up from lack of use. The breaking point wasn't some big dramatic explosion. There was no shouting. There was no affair. There wasn't even a specific argument that I can point to. It happened on a Tuesday. I remember it was raining. We were in the kitchen. I was 74 then. I had been retired for a few years. I was complaining about the way the grocery store had changed the layout of the aisles. I was going on and on about something that didn't matter. I looked over at her, and she was just looking at me. Not with anger, not even with sadness. It was just a look of profound, settled emptiness. She set her coffee cup down on the counter. It made a small, sharp clack times against the granite. She said, "Arthur, do you know what my favorite color is?" I blinked. I felt a little annoyed, honestly. I said, "What kind of question is that? It's blue? Or maybe green? You have that green sweater?" She shook her head slowly. "It's yellow. It's been yellow since I was a little girl. I've mentioned it 1,000 times. I bought yellow flowers for the table every week for 10 years until I realized you never noticed them. So I stopped. I started to say something, some excuse, some joke to deflect it, but she just held up her hand. "We haven't had a real conversation in 30 years, she said. "We've just been managing a household together. We're like two people working the same shift at a factory who happened to sleep in the same room. I'm tired, Arthur. I'm so tired of being alone in this house with you. She left 2 weeks later. She moved into a small apartment near her sister. I remember standing in the driveway, watching her drive away, and I felt this secondary shock. I felt like I had been hit by something I should have seen coming from miles away. I thought we were fine. That was the lie I told myself. We were fine because we weren't fighting. We were fine because the bills were paid and the kids were successful. I didn't realize that fine is just another word for dying slowly. I spent a lot of my life chasing things that I thought were the point. I wanted the promotion. I wanted the bigger house. I wanted the respect of men I don't even remember the names of now. I thought that if I built a fortress of security around us, that was the same thing as love. But you can't inhabit a fortress. You can only guard it. I realized too late that I'd spent 30 years guarding the life we were supposed to have, and in the process, I let the life we times had wither away. I thought that being a good man meant being a solid wall. I didn't realize that a wall doesn't just keep things out, it keeps things in. It keeps the people you love from ever truly knowing you. I was silent about my fears. I was silent about my hopes. I was silent about the way I felt when I looked at her. I thought those things were understood. I thought they were implied. Nothing is implied in this life. If you don't say it, it doesn't exist. If you don't show it, it isn't real. I see young people now always looking at their phones, always busy. I want to walk up to them and grab them by the shoulders. I want to tell them, asterisk, you are choosing a slow death. Asterisk, every time you choose a screen over a face or a task over a touch, you are adding another brick to that wall, and those bricks are heavy. By the time you realize they're there, you might not have the strength left to tear them down. The cost of that silence, it's not just the divorce, it's the memories that are tainted now. I look back at photos of our vacations. There we are at the Grand Canyon. There we are in London. We're smiling. But now I look at her eyes in those photos and I see a loneliness I was too busy to notice at the time. I see the moments where she was trying to reach out, and I see myself pulling away, focused on the map, or the camera, or the schedule. Those memories don't bring me comfort anymore. They feel like evidence. They feel like a record of all the times I was physically present but spiritually absent. I can't go back and fix it. That's the thing about being 79. You lose the luxury of thinking you can make amends. Elena has a life now. She's happy. I see her sometimes at our grandson's soccer games. She's kind to me, but it's the kindness you show to a distant relative or an old acquaintance. The intimacy is gone. The us that took 30 years to build and 30 years to destroy, it's just gone. It's a strange feeling, knowing that the most important person in your life is now just someone you used to know. It's a quiet kind of grief. It doesn't scream. It just sits in the room with you like the dust in the air. I have to ask you something, and I want you to be honest with yourself. Not with me, I'm just a voice on a recording. Be honest with yourself. Who are you silent with right now? Who are you sitting next to, but not really seeing? Who are you assuming will always be there waiting for you to finally have the time to be real? You think you're being responsible. You think you're being practical. You think you're doing what needs to be done. But I'm telling you, from the end of the road looking back, that none of it matters if you're doing it in silence. The money doesn't matter. The career doesn't matter. The later you're working for doesn't exist. All that exists is right now. The person across the table from you, the child asking for a story, the friend who hasn't heard from you in months. If you have something to say, Say it. If you have love to show, show it. Don't let it be implied. Don't assume they know. Because one day you'll be 79 and you'll realize that the silence you thought was just peace and quiet was actually the sound of your life disappearing. I've tried to change things in these last few years. I don't have a lot of goals anymore. I don't care about the lawn. I don't care about the news. When I talk to my daughter now, I really listen. I don't look at my watch. I don't think about what I'm going to say next. I just let her words wash over me. I try to see the person she is, not just the child I remember. It's a small correction, it's a late one. I spend a lot of time sitting on my porch. I talk to the neighbors. I ask them questions about their lives, and I actually wait for the answers. It's a strange way to live after so many years of rushing. It's slower, it's quieter, but in a different way. It's a silence that I've chosen rather than one I've drifted into. But even with that, there's a shadow that follows me. It's the shadow of those 30 years. I'll be walking through the house and I'll see a spot on the wall where a picture used to hang. Or I'll find a yellow ribbon in the back of a drawer. And it all comes back. The regret doesn't go away. You just learn to live with it. You learn to carry it. It's a heavy thing to carry, but I suppose it's the only thing I have left that's truly mine. I'm 79 years old. My wife is gone, and my house is empty. I spent my life building a world, and I forgot to live in it. Don't do what I did. Don't wait for the perfect time to be human. The perfect time passed you by 5 minutes ago. The only time you have left is what's in front of you right now. Break the silence before it breaks you. I don't have much else to say. I think I've said more today than I did in most of the 1,990 seconds. If this stayed with you, maybe it was meant for you. I hope it helps. I really do. I'm going to go sit on the porch now. The sun is going down and the birds are starting to get quiet. It's a nice time of day if you're paying attention.